So I am starting today's video in the car because I just ran into the store and I did not intend on getting a bunch of garden stuff, but as tends to happen this time of year, I ended up getting a bunch of things for the, well, not a bunch, but I got a few things for the garden and I wanted to share with you. So hopefully today I have some container style raspberries and blueberries coming, and I wanted to get some good containers for on my patio. Usually I get just regular terracotta containers, but with the wood on our patio and everything, I thought it might be nice just to have just some like easy plastic containers. These are also self-watering, which again, I don't usually do self-watering containers. I've had mixed results with them. But given that these are going to be on a patio, these are going to be long-term perennials, I know they're going to fill up, their root systems are going to fill up these containers. I thought I would try them out in some self-watering containers. Sometimes these get kind of backed up and you end up with like some root rot and stuff in the bottom, but you can always pop off. Usually you can pop off the bottom self-watering part if you need to. But I think I'm going to try it because I want my my raspberries and my blueberries, I want to make sure that they don't dry out, and it can be so hard on patio areas for them to dry out, and for them to get to, not to dry out, for them to dry out. It can be really, really hard. They can dry out really quickly. When you're dealing with perennials, you get big root systems, and it just becomes tricky. What you can do, if these are filling up sometimes too, is like after a big rain, I will come out and actually like dump some of it out. And sometimes like dump some of the water out, and that can kind of help. Then I also grabbed some little pots. I don't usually use these kind of like biodegradable kind of peat pot things. If you know me, you know I usually just use cups. But I'm going to be setting these up in a very high trafficked area in my house. Usually in the past, I've always done my seed starting in like a side room. And the seed starting this year, it's going to be in like in the new house, it's going to be like in a little office room. It's kind of like, it's not somewhere where we're in all the time, so I don't feel worried about having the grow lights on and everything. But it is somewhere where I'm going to be seeing. It's going to be, I want it to be kind of aesthetic, so I thought these were kind of going to be kind of pretty. And we'll see how they do. This could be a total flop, but I don't know. I just grabbed some too, and I'm just desperate to get started, and I feel like I don't have all my things set up, so these will just be easy. I might put a drainage hole in them though, because I don't have a drainage hole. We'll see. And then I grabbed a few seeds. This is also starting to be like the time of year where there's seeds out everywhere. And I just ordered a ton of seeds, as you saw. Like I have so many seeds, but I figured I had to get a few more. I didn't order any snow peas this year, so I found this variety. It's called Snowbird. Just, like a burpy classic variety. It's supposed to have large yields. Doesn't need any support. So 3-inch edible pods, pick when just forming, cook. You can cook or you can just eat them. But yeah, it doesn't need any support, which is kind of cool. So I'm trying to see how tall it gets. I don't know. It's really interesting. It doesn't say like what the size of the plants is. It just said no support. So I thought that was kind of cool because maybe I can put these in one of my new like raised bed areas. And then I don't need to worry about getting it set up with trellising, which would be kind of nice, like as we get started here, not to have to do trellising like that. That would be just kind of convenient. I always love trying bush varieties, container varieties, just sort of different things. I feel like it can be more versatile in the garden, and sometimes it can just kind of be interesting to see how they grow. So I'm going to put those in I'm planning my raised beds back by the greenhouse garden. I think I'm going to do a decent amount, like at least one that's all spring crops, lettuces, peas, something that I can plant for spring and then really like leave and keep going. It's going to be just designated for spring. I'm not going to put any pressure on myself on getting it turned over for the summer garden. We'll just wait, and then we'll do like maybe a midsummer planting once the peas and everything are really done. Sometimes it's hard for me with small garden spaces. I feel like I need to, switch over for the next season, or I get impatient to start summer annuals or something. But this way I figured, I'm just gonna have one bed that's gonna be like, it's gonna be all peas. We'll do some tom thumb peas, some of these, maybe some violas, some lettuces, and we'll just like let it go. Then I grabbed just a couple like extra things to have. I love basil. Everyone loves basil. I mean, basil's great. And I like to get the purple kinds of basil because I plant basil, you know, next to tomatoes and in different places. And if it's just like a different color foliage, that's nice. So I found red Reuben. I don't think I've grown this before. It's great for decorative planting as well. And yeah, I guess it's the ornamental leaf. Maybe this isn't, is this really just an ornamental? I gotta do some more research. This is what happens when you just buy seeds like willy-nilly. But it's great for containers. I mean, hey, it's still really pretty. I'll see if this looks like it would be edible, but we'll try it out. Some basils are really just mostly for decorative purposes. Then I liked the colors on this Tom Thumb mixed color straw flowers. I want to grow a lot of straw flowers this year, and these will be pretty because they are 10 to 15 inches tall. So they can be like in the front of a bed or something like that, and I think they'll be really nice. And then I also just grabbed some more glass gem corn. I had so much fun growing glass gem corn last year, and I'm going to do a lot of the Martian Jewels corn and have like those really pretty corn husks that are the dark purple colors. But I'm gonna have to find a spot where I can grow the glass gem corn because it would be nice to have this for both fall decorations, and I actually want to try to use it for popcorn this year. Like I didn't try to pop any of my glass gem corn last fall, and I totally regret that because it would be really nice to be able to actually like grow my own popcorn too. I think that would be, I don't know, I've never done anything like that in the garden. Like that would be really cool. So that was my little impromptu garden shopping. Everything's like, this is the garden season now, you know, so you can just find garden stuff everywhere. So I'm gonna take these home, and then hopefully my little strawberry and blueberry plants, or raspberry I mean, and blueberry plants arrive soon. I'm gonna try to get them planted up. We have a really cold snap coming, so even if I pot them up, I may just keep them in the garage for a few days because it's gonna be, we're having like I think we're gonna have like a low of 8 degrees Fahrenheit one night, which for us is very, very low. And for new baby plants that just got shipped, that might be too cold too. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that. But I'm gonna take all my garden stuff home. Look how cute the grape hyacinths are starting to bloom inside. I've been having so much fun with all these little bulbs that I got started a couple weeks ago. One out here as well. That's starting to come. It looks like they're kind of white, which is kind of pretty. I can tell that the little daffodils in here and the other like the big full-size hyacinths are coming up as well. They're not going quite as fast as the muscari just grew really fast, but these are so pretty. And so once these are done blooming, I'll plant them out in the yard too. I've got some empty pots, of course, still just really in the moving in process, but you know, it was nice to have a little bit of green out here growing, and I feel like this container is going to kind of happen in sort of little iterations. We're going to have one group of plants coming up, and then the next, and then the next, and that's going to be really nice. I'm inside today having another cup of coffee because it is so cold. So I did end up getting the plants that I had ordered in the mail, and they're right now I just have them in the garage because we were supposed to get like, oh gosh, I think the low was 12. Low of 12 tonight, and then the high, I don't even think the high is getting above freezing today. So I thought that was a little bit cold, although I'm going to be planting those plants into containers, so I don't really need to worry about like the ground being not frozen. I just figured, you know what, it's so cold, might as well just pop them in the garage where it's like 50 degrees, and there's windows in the garage too, so they can get a little bit of sunlight, even though at this time of year being probably pretty dormant, I don't think it really matters, but better to just give them a couple days to let the temperature warm back up. I think by this weekend it's going to be back to around like 40 degrees, which is more normal for us. So typically, I'm in zone 7B. Typically in January we will have like maybe a couple days that are these really low temperatures, but then it'll be around, you know, maybe freezing at night, 40s during the day, sometimes up to like 50 degrees Fahrenheit, just fairly warm ish. I guess not warm for winter, but pretty mild, not like a very freezing winter. This is crazy. The fact that we have so much snow out here still, and the fact that we have these super low temperatures is just not at all what I would expect for this time of year. I did also get a couple of pine trees, some like cypress trees, to add in a few areas in our front yard, and those I went ahead and put outside, but I put them in one of my raised beds, kind of clumped them together. Because we're moving, we have very little room right now in the garage, so some of those are outside, so I'm gonna go check on them probably a little bit later. Luckily they got rained on, so they got some water, and they're protected like in one of the trough planters, so I think they're gonna be fine. We'll see. It's hard. It was unfortunate timing that I ordered them and then we got this huge like cold spell, so it wasn't the best timing on my part. I guess I probably should have looked ahead. Ordering plants online is always like a little tricky, and unfortunately, you know, when you see that there's weather like this coming up, it's like you probably shouldn't order them online. But they had like a New Year's deal, and you know, when you see those deals, so it's always tempting. We're playing with Play-Doh, so I better go help girly girl. Well, here is the little raspberry plant. It has been wintering the last couple days here in the garage. So this is a little container style raspberry, and if you have a small space or a patio garden, or just don't want to devote a huge space to raspberries, because raspberries can be kind of invasive. If you get them planted, they can take over. So actually I'm excited to just put these in a container and have my raspberries in a container. This variety, you don't need to have a second one, although I did go ahead and grab a second plant just because I think it'll be cute for the patio to have a couple out there. But yeah, I'm just gonna plant this up. I've got some containers, some potting mix. I'm just gonna plant these up on the patio. I'm bumping them up to about a, I don't know, 3-gallon container, I think. They're in a 1-gallon pot right now. That should be good. They look pretty healthy. I think they did okay being in the garage while we had our cold weather. It was a bit of a dicey time that they arrived because we got absolutely freezing temperatures. I'm gonna go check on my other plants, but I think this did okay. And yeah, I'm just gonna put it in some of those containers that I grabbed, and we'll see how it does. I think that having these container style varieties are just, it's so nice. And I got some blueberries too that are going to be coming. You can find all kinds of different varieties at different places. Even big box stores now are selling a lot of like container style variety blueberries, raspberries. Of course, strawberries are great for containers, but yeah, so let's get these potted up and put on the patio. That will be a good step. I'm just going to use a regular potting mix. Nothing fancy. And I'm going to try to keep as much potting mix in here as I can, just because these are, you know, a bigger style plant, I guess. And I just want to give it as much space for the roots as I possibly can. I probably need to put all of this in right now, so I'm going to leave a little lip for water. I'm not going to use a huge lip because I just want to give as much soil to this plant as I possibly can. There we go. So tiny lip, as you can see, but a lot of good soil in here, and this is just regular potting mix. Nothing special. I'm going to follow the instructions for fertilizing. Typically with these kind of shrubby things, you don't need like a ton of fertilizer, even in containers, just, you know, just a little bit. I think they have instructions. I forgot to mention the variety too. This is a heritage ever-bearing raspberry. So one of the things I also liked about it is that theoretically it should be ever-bearing. So even though it's up on the patio, it should produce berries like all season long. And when you're looking for strawberries and raspberries, blueberries, some of them will have a season when they produce fruit. So maybe like there'll be June-bearing strawberries. But then there's also ever-bearing strawberries, and the ever-bearing strawberries will produce fruit all season long, and same with the raspberry here. And I feel like when you have a small garden, containers, you know, you're doing things in a small space like that, you might as well maximize it. If you can get berries all season long, like, well, why not have the raspberries coming all season long rather than just in, you know, the end of summer or something. So that's why I picked the ever-bearing variety, just because I thought that would be really nice to have. And I know my daughters are really gonna love to like go out and get fruit off of the bushes like all season long. That's gonna be a really fun thing to have. All right, so I'm out here checking on the plants that I'm gonna be planting in a few places in the yard. They look okay. I think it got cold. I suppose it's probably too early yet to see any real like frost damage or anything on them. Sometimes, you know, stuff looks fine and then it's not, but I think it's gonna be okay. So these are some Carolina blue cypress. They're just gonna go in a few sort of strategic locations in the yard. And then I also grabbed a few holly, just to add some more holly to the garden, because I think we have the native holly and then a few like just kind of, again, strategically placed, a little bit thicker growing holly would be nice. The native holly is really gorgeous. It's just a little bit more sparse between the leaves. So I just kind of thinking that it would be nice. Some of these, this is a Nellie Stevens holly, and it's just a bit more of a thick growth habit. So it should grow really well, because obviously the holly in general grows really well in this area. But it just is going to be, like you can see, the kind of native holly behind me is not quite as thick of a growth habit. The varieties that they've created, you know, grow super thick. So I just have like a few spots. I'm not trying to fill up the yard just yet. You know, I want to kind of go slowly with that process, but I do want to just continue to add a few of those like base evergreen plants, kind of like the just base plants that will grow up in the future. I know my future self is going to be thankful that I planted a few things in, and because it, you know, it takes time. Those are little plants. Those are like little 1 foot, 2 foot plants. They're going to take a minute to get growing. So I figure my future self will thank me and be very glad that I planted in just a few, you know, thicker kind of evergreen things. It's just nice to have evergreen stuff. The privacy is so good, honestly, in this yard. We've got lots of space, but you need to have those like backdrops. And I'm starting with evergreen plants because right now I feel like is a good time. I can see where I want some evergreen interest. So I'm going to start with evergreen plants, and then hopefully over the next year or two, I'm trying to give myself some time, you know, a couple years, honestly. Then I'm going to put in like the dogwoods, like the Arctic dogwoods, so that not the flowering trees, but the ones that have the colored stems. So I'm going to put in some of that. I want to put in some winterberry holly, like work on my winter interest, and then kind of go into fall interest, and then I'll keep working through my summer interest. I am hoping this week, if I can get my seed starting self figured out, then I'm hoping this week that I can start quite a bit of summer like perennial flowers. So I actually think I'm going to do some catmints, some agastaki, some rudbeckia, some of that kind of stuff. I think I'm going to try to get some of it started, but I'll probably start a whole nother round of that next summer. But yeah, I'm just kind of like starting with these evergreen plants. I don't think I'm going to get too, I say this now. Like, I don't think I'm gonna get too many more, and then watch me get a bunch more. But I'm starting with this, and I'm gonna see if I get these things planted. Then I'm gonna see how that, how that looks. It'll give me some good evergreen structure. And then I do want to put in some witch hazel. I want to get some 9 barks, some elderberries, both the edible varieties, and then I think it would also be fun to get some like lemony laced elderberries, or I'm forgetting the name of the variety that's like the lemony lace, but it's like a dark foliage. So I want to get some of those things too. But yeah, I'm just focusing on this evergreen interest, and then I'm going to do a lot of clearing out, because this is the area that I want to put my potting sort of area, potting bench, table, work area right here. As you can see, it is full of sticks. And then we've got some raised beds. I'm going to start setting this up. Yeah, it feels like a lot of work right now, but I think I'm going to get it done. And this, I just need to clear out most of the sticks and everything so that I can get my potting area set up. It's going to be a project. This garden is not going to come together. I don't even know. I mean, I'll be curious to see where I get by the end of the season even. Honestly, I'm trying not to rush myself. I keep wanting to have things further along than they are, and then I have to keep reminding myself not to rush. Take my time.